What's up, everybody? Happy Friday, TGIF. Congratulations for those of you getting off work in a couple hours. Let's do this whole weekend thing right. And let's start off this weekend by crushing some NBA DFS Friday evening.
Yeah, I love this slate.
Yeah, a lot to like on this slate. I agree. All right. So last night, we joked around again yesterday that 300 could win GPPs last night. And it absolutely could, because what an awful performance by the Houston Rockets. And I do want to give the Utah Jazz a lot of credit because they played really, really good defense, which was harder after Rudy Gobert got ejected for cup slapping about 3 minutes into the game. So that is the eyes right down there of basically everybody who bought James Harden last night. And as I went through on the cash review lineup, you weren't wrong to buy James Harden. It was just a stinker. It happens from time to time. They were terrible.
And for me, I get your point on giving Utah credit. They did D up, but this Houston team has now scored 85 points in their past 5 quarters. So they're running a YMCA offense right now. It's a joke.
It was horrible. So I will give Utah a lot of credit. They played well, but they started playing like hero ball really early on. Like they couldn't get easy passes into Capella. And it just seemed like it was either Harden or Chris Paul going one-on-one. It didn't have any of the same flow that you've seen from Houston, for the majority of the last couple of years.
Yeah, they are in a lot of trouble, in my opinion.
I agree. This is not the same Houston team we saw last year. They're no longer the second best team in the West or anything like that. So agreeing. But
they're not even close. Like the other teams, I know we talked about this a little bit yesterday, and I'm sure they'll get hot and make a run. But the other teams in the West, I don't necessarily think Houston's better than them.
No, not right now. Not at all. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But again, I just want to reiterate, though, for those of you who bought James Harden last night, I don't think you were wrong to buy him. I thought he made a lot of sense. I agree with you if you purchased him. I didn't, just because there was a lot of other guys that made sense too, but it was just an ugly, brutal night all the way around for a good number of basketball players.
Yeah, it was awful. And Phoenix, once again, shit the bed.
Right. We got a, I forget who said it, but somebody, they commented on the YouTube video a couple minutes into that game or in the second quarter, there's no way the Kings will be down or the Suns will be down 20 plus again. And they put your name by it, which we didn't really think that they would be down by 20 plus again. But that is probably in all my years of watching basketball, I can't remember a team playing so terrible in back-to-back first quarters like that.
It's the worst 2 back-to-back first quarters in NBA history.
Well, then that's probably why I can't remember anybody doing worse than that. So precisely. Thank you for the historical perspective, Matt, because I hadn't looked it up or heard anybody say it, but I'm glad to know that it wasn't crazy right there because that was awful. And the funny part was they played both teams even after that the last 2 times, but those first quarters are awful.
Yeah. Interesting to see how they come out tonight against a Miami team that's not as good as Portland. I'll say that.
Yeah, but they're not terrible. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, guys, if you're new to the channel, we talk a lot of daily fantasy sports over here. Press that red button that says subscribe. And we kind of decided we'll do this. If we can get 400 thumbs up, likes on this video today, we'll make Monday's private video public for everybody to watch. All it takes is 400, very attainable number. You help us, we'll help you. And let's not forget, if you haven't followed the new official DFS 5-pack Twitter page, go do that. The link to it is down in the description section, along with the link to the website. If you want every day's full-length video and every day's write-up, go sign up to be a member. We got over a month of football left and basketball in the meantime.
Yep, and baseball coming up soon.
Nope, it's not soon, Matt. You can only wish. So this is a guy that I think we can all expect to be relatively popular tonight in Joel Embiid, and there's a lot of reasoning behind it. One, he's cheap tonight for him. You know what I mean? His price is way down right now because he had a couple of less than stellar games. 1, bad matchup with Memphis. 2, didn't play that well against Toronto. And 3, they ran Washington out of the gym, and he wasn't even around for the most of the third and fourth quarter. So 3 consecutive less than stellar games has his price down, which is a real desirable place to get a cheap Embiid. Next up, we have the fact he called himself trash the other day. So I expect a fully engaged Joel Embiid tonight. Also, this is a classic case of where you got 2 guys, 2 pretty good players in Joel Embiid and Andre Drummond. Embiid is very mentally tough, while Drummond, I think it's kind of fair to call him mentally weak by comparison. He doesn't really have a tendency to show up in bigger situations.
That's rough, man. That's mean. I don't disagree with you. I think it's more I'm not sure I'd put it in such clear lines like Embiid is mentally tough and Drummond is mentally weak. For me, it's Embiid is just mentally tougher than Drummond.
Yeah, I don't Drummond for me has often shown that when it comes to like a big game, like he's not a guy you can count on. He'll get his rebounds and here and there, but he doesn't the guy who makes you win stuff like that. He doesn't take over.
I guess for me, it's like I don't even consider a guy like Drummond on the same level of it as Embiid. So I don't even understand why they have this beef.
Two big guys, good centers. I mean, I kind of get it a little bit why that's there, but I mean, Embiid has just flat out owned him. And I didn't know this morning if this would be something that people would be using, but since being on Twitter a little bit today, it sounds like a lot of people are going to be on Joel Embiid. I expect him to be relatively popular. You get him underpriced. He has crushed the Pistons this year. I mean, absolutely dominated. And if you go back to last year, 23-9 in 24 minutes in a game, the Philly won by 30 plus. A different game, he goes for 30-9 in like 28 minutes. So he has really, really excelled in this matchup tonight, and you get him at a discount today.
No doubt. There's nothing on here not to like. There's a lot of good plays on this slate, so hard to prioritize, but I certainly get it.
Yeah, I guess that's the number one reason that you wouldn't play him is because centers got several good plays, and I feel like we've been playing two centers in every slate so far this week, and it probably goes on to again tonight.
Most definitely.
Speaking of centers, Matt's favorite player, I think yesterday you texted me Thompson over LeBron, right?
Yeah, right. So what's funny about this is I wasn't even a big time Tristan Thompson fan. I recognize what he does and what he's good at, but he's taken his game to another level this year. Definitely a career year for TT, playing some of the better inside ball that I've seen around the league recently. I kidded earlier this week when I talked about Tristan against the Warriors that we could just leave him up because they played the Kings on Friday, and here we are. Not only is he playing great, but he's got a matchup with the Kings. The one thing that I'm a little bit hesitant towards is his upside is capped because he's not an offensive force at all. But in watching him last game, man, he is one of the absolute top rebounders in the game, and expecting him to get 15 to 20 boards is reasonable.
And plus, it's big Matt against the Kings. You know, we watch this every single game. Almost it works out. And while 7,300 seems pricey for him, and you're talking about he's capped out, why? He's got cash value in 8 of 9 and GPP value in 4 of the last 9.
Yeah, not like crazy high GPP value, but there's also something to be said for his floor is awesome because of a point that you made, a couple weeks ago. Rebounding is the easiest stat to replicate. You don't need to do anything but catch the ball, and Thompson's one of the best guys at doing it.
I just keep thinking of the Charles Barkley commercial. You're probably even too young for that, but any knucklehead can score. It takes brains to rebounds. That's Thompson for you right now, guys. He's a very quality inside presence. And the point that you keep making on him is the Cavs are trying to showcase him as trade bait. Obviously, the Cavs are in a classic rebuilding mode. There's no reason for them to hang on to a guy like Tristan Thompson. While he's not old, he's not young anymore either. And they kind of need to start moving in a different direction because they're a bad team. They don't have much to build on. The Kevin Love contract made no sense to most of us. You kind of feel like some of these guys will be gone in order to build. So they're showing him off, trying to get something out of him. He's got the ball a ton. He plays big time minutes. Coaches said, I'll play him as many minutes as he can handle.
Yeah, to that point, I'm really glad you brought that up because in that game against Golden State, he played the entire second half, maybe the last couple minutes because they got blown out at the end, but he did not get subbed out once before that.
Yeah, he's playing big time minutes. And if you play big minutes and you're a good rebounder in a game that should have, if Sacramento can control the pace here at all, there is going to be a lot of possessions, which means I wouldn't be surprised if Tristan hit 18, 19 rebounds tonight.
Completely agreed.
All right, moving along. No Hassan Whiteside, bam, a lamb. So this is going to be probably the chalk play of the day, I would say.
No doubt.
Okay, he's going to be highly, highly owned.
Yeah. I
think this is the first guy you insert him, you put him in, stick him in right into the power forward position, and you start building from there. That's so great that he has power forward eligibility because I would hate to waste a center position on a cheaper guy like this, but he's got it for you. So he is the number one place to start your cash lineups with. He's probably going to be, by my estimation, 80, maybe 90% owned.
Yeah, something like that in that range.
And then GPP is probably 2/3.
Yeah, the higher dollar the GPP is, the harder it is to fade him. I mean, for sure, because he's going to be really popular for good reason. I mean, talk about a free square. If he only had center eligibility, it'd be really hard to fade him. Still, it'd be hard to fade him if you were 5,500 He's 4,200 and he has 40 forward eligibility.
So if you've watched the last couple of games, Phoenix is not good, and they're really not good against big men. I mean, Nurkic didn't do squat last night and still rolled into 30-some points, mostly because he had a bunch of rebounds, which we assume Bam will get a bunch of. Now, I expect him to start tonight. I don't think it's been officially announced yet. I don't care, though. Even if he comes in off the bench and they roll with an Olynyk, for example, I still want Bam in my lineup. He's almost a decent play, even if Whiteside was in tonight at this price.
So agreed. He'd be a real interesting GPP play in that regard. Because he'll also, even with Whiteside out, like obviously if they get up like 40 or whatever, they're going to run the bottom 5 guys on their bench. But he's going to play blowout minutes too because they want to give him run.
But they like this guy. I think this is a bigger part of the plans of their future. If they can give him an extended run tonight, they're going to do that. I figure he'll see at least 25 minutes, if not 30.
Yeah, it's hard to not really like him here.
Right, like even watch last night against that. I'm doing air quotes on the word team for the Phoenix Suns, but it wasn't just Nurkic. Nurkic is like his value per minute was 5. And then you had other guys come in like Jake freaking Layman had big nights against the Suns.
Zach Collins.
Right? Zach Collins. Like Bam should clean up in this matchup, and he's going to do it major ownership.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, next up is your boy DeMar DeRozan.
So DeRozan's a guy I used the other night on that crazy slate where it took 500 points to cash, and he wasn't enough, but he was really good, and I watched a lot of him. So Spurs are in disarray, no doubt about it. They've got one win in their past, 6 games. They played the Lakers really tight a couple days ago, though. Game got away with them in the fourth quarter, and I think now that the game's in San Antonio, we see kind of a change of hand there. Listen, all the Spurs have really is Aldridge and DeRozan. That's all they got. And Aldridge, well, I like him, and I can make the case for using him here. He's just not the offensive player that DeRozan is right now. Say what you will about, all DeRozan's inefficiencies. He can put the ball in the hoop, and he's doing a lot right now. And every time he's faced the Lakers this year, he's crushed. I don't expect anything different here. Not sure how you feel.
I don't like him as much as you do. I haven't played around with roster construction enough yet today to find out where I'm going to end up as far as cash lineups go. I know I'll have Bam. I know I'm very likely to play Embiid in cash lineups that he's extremely shortlisted. After that, I haven't exactly filled in around yet where I want to go. I get all your points, though. I expect a solid production from him. I hate playing guys from the Spurs, period, but if I were to play one, it would obviously be DeRozan.
Yeah, I get all your points, and I don't think it's a guy that, we're talking about like a Bam that you lock in right away. But coming from the GPP side of things, he's on my radar. And we always talk about this, the pluses and minuses of making this video early. In 6 hours, I might not be on DeRozan anymore, or I might like him even more. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Things change throughout the day. NBA is an evolving organism, and Wednesday was the best example of that. You know what I mean? Like that was NBA DFS on steroids with all the late moves that had to be made. Obviously, the John Wall injury was big throughout the day, but then you found out that Mirotic, who you assumed to be fine because who gets sick for 3 days? Well, he's back out, and everybody has to adjust. So it is tough. We make the videos early so people can watch them, but I would say half the time, half the plays change throughout the day because that's just the nature of NBA DFS. I mean, we put out our official write-up 2 hours before tip-off, and there's still oftentimes a lot of changes to be made after that comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's NBA for you. It's a tough game. If you don't have time for it, I understand, man. A lot of you guys probably have lives. I don't know what that's like, but I'm assuming that would keep you busy from time to time. And it's just a tough game to keep up with like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's like either.
Yeah. All right, guys. If you want all the information that goes along with it, access to the VIP Facebook group, go sign up to be a member. Have yourself a wonderful Friday, and we will see everybody either later today or tomorrow.